Well, switching gears a little bit, we got a story out of Tallahassee last week, which I thought was pretty darn interesting, particularly for any of you actually trying to find a home right now. Anybody who's home shopping at this time in Florida knows just how difficult it is and how you seem to be chasing prices that seem to be accelerating away from you. I mean, these first-time homes are getting further and further out of reach. And I think this problem is particularly bad in Florida, where we've got a lot of folks have come down from the Northeast, where they have a much higher salary base, frankly, than what we have here in the state of Florida. People in New York make a lot more money. People in Connecticut make a lot more money. And a lot of these folks are now being able to work remotely, so they're taking the opportunity, probably like we all would, to say, where would I like to live? And they say, well, gee, let's go someplace warm with a lot of water, a great state that's well run, without a lot of draconian oversight and all these COVID rules and lockdowns. So let's go to Florida. And that's what they say. And they come here, and, of course, they're bidding up housing prices and the folks that live here and make Florida salaries. And this is a recurring theme. I've talked to quite a few people who have this complaint that are looking for a home right now and saying how hard it is to find something right now. Well, we may be in luck. We may be in luck getting construction costs down a little bit because a 3D printed home is being constructed right now in Tallahassee, the first 3D printed home in the state of Florida. Now, if you're familiar with 3D printers at all, they basically have something called an extruder, and that's like the printer needle for those of us that think of the old, like still stuck in the 90s like me, thinking of the old printer technology, the dot matrix or the actual needle touching the page and putting the ink on it. Anyway, the extruder is the tube through which whatever they're printing flows. And so in this case, when they're printing a 3D home, they're typically sending through that concrete, which they're printing in itty-bitty strips of concrete, one on top of another, and that concrete apparently melds together and hardens. And so they can actually print, essentially, the concrete blocks to build the house. And they say they can print a couple of feet a day. That's a couple of feet in height a day. So you could think about, the actual printing of this structure. They can do that in about a week, amazingly enough, if it's running full time. And then, of course, they have to still build on to that other things like the roof joists and things like that, which we don't yet have the printer that's sophisticated enough to just print the entire home. So basically what this can do is print the 3D walls, but it's really amazing. They say they can build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Now, they didn't give the specs on square footage on this, but just sort of eyeballing it to me, I'm saying it's probably something around 1,500 square foot. You're saying 2? You think it's 2,000?
I was saying about 2,000, maybe less. You're right.
Yeah, I was thinking we're just guesstimating here, but we're thinking 1,500 to 2,000 feet or so for a 3-2. Now,
what comes to mind is the printer ink. So expensive. Got to buy so much of it.
Yeah, you thought your printer ink at home. I was complaining about that a couple of weeks ago. I thought my ink was expensive. Wait till you're buying liquid concrete ink. That really gets expensive. But they can print a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for something between $175,000 and $200,000. So you've also got on top of that your land costs, but they're saying that's significantly lower cost than what it would be to build one with traditional building materials. Plus, it can happen a lot faster. Now, on the negative side, I mean, you're losing a lot of construction trade work there, because if we're now going to be able to set up these printers, and they're so interesting, they're basically set up on 4 posts. So you pour the foundation slab, you put 4 posts at either corner, at every corner of the foundation slab, and then the printer essentially operates up above, sits on top of those posts, and then it like I said, it sort of, they call it an extruder. So it basically pushes out the material and prints the walls with very little human input and very little necessary oversight to this building process. So now you're talking about eliminating a lot of building jobs, a lot of construction jobs in this construction.
It's my understanding that when you're constructing things with that sort of smoothed corner rather than a hard, jagged corner, they're showing, when I'm watching the video of them printing, it's got a smooth corner. Like humans have a harder time doing that. So that's kind of scary too. In other words, this printing machine can do something more easily than humans can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think what you'll start to see, because of course you're working with block, right? I mean, versus extruded concrete, which extruded concrete can be printed into almost any shape.
Any shape, right.
Whereas blocks, you're working with Legos. So why does everything you build with Legos look kind of squared off? Because you're starting out with squares. So, I think it's going to, as the key with these technologies that you have to recognize is once they get to the point of commercial application like this, I mean, the amount of work that's gone to get to this point has been gargantuan. So a lot of work none of us ever see. We're not in these industries. We're not keeping up with the state of the art. We don't actually see these advancements being made. But the amount of work to get us to this point has been huge. Now, once they get to the point of commercialization, now you're going to see a lot of improvements start to take place over time. You're going to see the costs come down. You're going to see the sophistication go up. You're going to see the speed come down. In other words, or you might want to say go up. You're going to see these things happen faster. So they're going to start to really commoditize this, where they can pull in, set up one of these extruder robot things and, kind of build an entire row of houses and maybe do that in a couple of weeks versus just building a house in a week or something. So you'll start to see it get a lot faster. And as you point out, Roxanne, you'll start to see the designs become more nuanced as they practice, as they've made money. You get revenue flow from these type of projects. Now you can invest in research and development and continued refinement and improvement of the technology. This is going to be the future of building, and it's already taking place here in the state of Florida. We'll have the first home completed pretty shortly here. Again, they've got some follow-on work to do after the printing part of it, but I think you're going to start to see this, particularly when developers can buy up strips of land to install a row of houses on. You're going to start to see these types of things come into play, and hopefully this will bring down housing costs a little bit for us. The medium price, the average medium price right now of a new home in the U.S., starter home, $350,000. Hard to believe, isn't it? Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.